30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on kind of a gray and not very summer-like Thursday in Nashville, Tennessee. Man, we have had more rain this summer than I can remember in a long time. Either way, we got a good show for you today. And why don't we go ahead and kick it off as we do during football season with Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update. That update is brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lender. And you can give Lori a holler at 615-969-4350. She's really good. Give her a holler. Might be able to really help you. Terry, how are you today?
Doing well, George. How are you?
Good. I know this was Coach Williams' press conference day. Tell us what all he had to say.
Well, he was talking about how grateful he was to Mike Vrabel for this opportunity because, a lot of guys don't realize what all goes into being a head coach on game day and the preparation leading up to that, whether it's having a press conference with the media, prepping with the TV crew, all the things that go on behind the scenes, meeting with the officials, just a myriad of things that goes on as you lead up to a football game. And Terrell Williams is going to get the inside look as to how that works. And he said that he does have aspirations to someday be a head coach, and getting this type of opportunity to do this in a preseason game should be a nice boost and a nice line on his resume.
Terry, I've said it all week long. I believe a year from now, a bunch of NFL teams are going to do this. I think Vrabel has hit on something that is really pretty creative and good for him. I give him all the credit in the world for this. What did Coach Williams believe would be the biggest challenge that maybe, given that he's never sat in that seat, that he kind of worries about a little bit?
He said that he's seen a lot and done a lot. He said he's just going to kind of roll with the punches. He said if he has anything that he doesn't know, he's just going to ask questions, and that's probably the smart approach. I think probably he said the biggest challenge for him is that being in charge of everything, because on game days, he's usually has tunnel vision on his defensive line guys, focused in on what they're supposed to be doing, focused in on how they're playing, how they're running the system and whatnot out there on a play-to-play basis. Now he's got to step back and kind of, as the head coach, kind of look at it from the view of 30,000 feet, so that he not only knows what his guys are doing, he knows what the quarterbacks are doing. He knows what the kickers are doing. He knows what the linebackers are doing. All those sorts of things are now in play for him. So I think it's going to be a real eye-opening experience for him, just to kind of see how everything works from the overall picture.
Terry, is Vrabel right next to him on Saturday?
Right next to him, I wouldn't think. They'll obviously come in contact and interact. Vrabel's going to use this time, he said, just to kind of go through into the different position groups and different areas, and just kind of make sure, kind of stick his nose in, sort of like how the principal does in the teacher's classroom, kind of sticks his head in for a minute or two and then moves on to the next room. So I think he's probably going to be doing a lot of, shall we say, monitoring, I guess would be the right word.
Yeah, it brings back some high school days. I was the designated person who had to ask a question if the head of school walked in, and oftentimes he would be checking the radiator or the thermostat, and I would immediately, have a question about.
You raise your hand and say something like, how many home runs does Henry Aaron have right now?
No, it was ancient medieval history where we had this deal. So the two terms
Which
were
was modern history in your era, right?
That's nice. Yeah. By the way, nice effort by the Yankees last night, but at least you scored.
Hey, I told you that they would get about 3 hits and score 1 run. I wasn't far off.
No, the bottom line, your team is dull.
They're dull. They're not only dull, they're awful. They're awful. I mean, honestly, for the first time in a long time, I can say, I wish they'd just tear it down and start over. I mean, keep Judge, keep Cole, keep Volpe, everybody else, fire sale time.
Do the
fire sale.
The Cubs approach.
Yes.
Exactly.
Burn it to the ground and start over.
Terry, I wish Coach Williams a lot of luck in this. And again, I applaud Vrabel. I think this is terrific stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's an opportunity. And I agree with you, George. I think this is going to cause a lot of different coaches around the league to go, hey, that's not a bad idea. And it's going to open up, opportunities for guys who might not ordinarily have had that opportunity to show what they can do in those situations and to learn from it.
I love it. Okay, that's Terry McCormick's Daily Titans Update, which is brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. She wants to be your mortgage lender, and also her team at USA Mortgage, whether it's purchasing a home, refinancing to consolidate debt, or make necessary home improvements. USA Mortgage brings the power of over 50 banks to offer you the best options available. Let's say hello to one Kelly Holcomb, standing by in Murfreesboro. Kelly, how are you?
Great, George. How are you doing?
Good. When you played, Vrabel, obviously, and I don't know where he got the idea. I think it's brilliant. What coach would you most like to have seen get that opportunity?
Well, he's gotten the opportunity now, but it was Bruce Arians. But he's won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Bucks. He's been a head coach several places. He took over for Chuck Pagano in Indianapolis, which kind of got him in the realm. I don't know if he would have ever gotten that opportunity if Chuck Pagano hadn't gotten sick and they needed a guy to step in. And Bruce was very well qualified for that. And then he was able to go on to Arizona and then went to Tampa and brought in Tom Brady and brought in all his guys and won a Super Bowl. So he was kind of the guy. I was with David Culley as well, and David got an opportunity. We talked about this last week, but I wish he would have gotten an opportunity earlier than he got. And I think he got shafted there with the Texans. That was really bad. But I don't think you can say it and I can say it enough. What a brilliant idea this is. And I'm with you. I don't know who came up with the idea, but I can see the NFL's executives, the Roger Goodells and all the upper echelons looking at this and seeing how this goes over and then maybe putting some legislation in there to say, hey, we need to think about implementing this to all the teams.
Yeah. Amen. Billy, how are you today?
Oh, got to unmute the mic there.
Mm-hmm.
Broadcast error there. I'm good,
right.
George.
Kelly, anything you want to say about that?
No, I'm just nothing that Billy does anymore surprises me, George. So, he's not on his toes much. We're trying to have to, ease him into this deal here. So, I don't know.
Kelly, I got a question. Do you think Tom Moore could have ever been a head coach?
I don't think Tom ever aspired to be a head coach. I really don't. I think he liked being an offensive coordinator. That's what I do, fellas. I think he's that guy. I don't know. There's just some guys that you come across in the NFL that are really good coaches, but you just get the sense with the way that they act and their personality that they never wanted to be a head coach. Because let's be honest, when you're a head coach, there's so many other things you have to deal with other than just coaching. You got to manage personalities. You got to talk to the GM. You got to talk to the owner. You got to do all that stuff. And I don't think Tom ever really got into that. I think he just wanted to coach football. He wanted to be over the offense, and that's kind of where he's at right now. And he's consulting, which I told him the last time, that's the fleecing of America. Ridiculous. You're getting paid to consult. What are you consulting, Hoss?
Coach Newton told me once. I asked him. I said, "What does a consultant do?" And he said, "A consultant is paid to do nothing."
Exactly. I mean, when I went out to Arizona and Tom was a consultant out there with Bruce, he would write down his plays. But Bruce, like, I don't even know if Bruce looked at him. I'm like, you're killing me with this.
That's hilarious.
Billy, do you have an update?
I do. We start
Really?
with a no-hitter last night.
Yes.
In Philadelphia. Michael Lorenzen in his first start as a Philly.
We're going to talk about it.
Got traded to the Phillies in his first start through a no-hitter. First Phillies no-hitter since Cole Hamels' last start for the Phillies in 2015. So I'm sure we'll get into that with Danny Evans.
He will be with us at 2:20. Looking forward.
Was that his first start or his second start?
First start as a Philly. So because he got
Okay.
traded, he was with the Tigers, correct, George?
Listen, the deal is 2 years ago, Michael Lorenzen was mop-up duty. More known at the time for being a really good hitter. Where this sudden resurgence has come from, I don't have a clue.
You got to give it to the guy, though, Billy.
Yeah.
You'll know about this, but he's got some Van spikes that he wore, and they're sticking. Yeah, I mean, it's going to Canton.
Yeah.
Vans, which is pretty
Good for
cool.
him. Good for him.
Who would have ever thought a pitcher would be wearing Van? I mean, I didn't even know that was a cleat brand.
I didn't either. I just saw it.
I guess you could turn any tennis shoe into cleats now. Just add cleats. I mean, there's guys with like Jordan shoes now, but they're used as cleats now too. So
Crazy.
kind of crazy. But another crazy situation was the Bear leaving College Game Day. Chris the Bear Felica got a big deal at Fox. He's leaving. He'll be replaced by Stanford Steve. I don't know if y'all know Stanford Steve. He's on with Scott Van Pelt.
Scott Van Pelt.
A lot.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to be their betting analyst. And ESPN also they're creating a betting sector of ESPN. They're calling it ESPN Bet. And that's sort of what the sports world revolves around right now. It's kind of wild. So Stanford Steve replacing Bear on College Game Day. The Bear. Also,
good for him.
Phil Mickelson apparently wagered $1 billion and tried to bet on the Ryder Cup. Sportsbook is alleging that to have happened. So
now wait, hold on a second. Let's make sure you use the B word, billion.
$1 billion on football, basketball, and baseball over the past 3 decades, and allegedly attempted to place a $400,000 wager on Team USA in the 2012 Ryder Cup.
Yeah, look, there's been a lot of talk in golf circles that his LIV stuff was to pay off gambling debts. I have no idea one way or the other, but I know that he's a frequent Vegas visitor, and that's his prerogative.
And that's what sort of derailed his career a little bit, you could say. I mean, he got older, but I think that's really hurt the perception of Phil Mickelson.
Do you think Kelly, given my hot streak, that he pays attention to what I'm putting out there?
He does. I bet he's on here every day. It's funny that you say that, because you hear that stuff in circles about all that.
Yeah.
You hear kind of the inside baseball on guys, but you don't really know, but it's always there. And I've heard the same thing you heard about that Live deal. Like, maybe that's to pay off some of the things that he's been doing. Because those guys are gamblers. I mean, Michael Jordan is notorious for that. Charles Barkley, those guys, they love to gamble. They got it, so why not do it? So they do it. That's right.
Do you need insurance?
Also, in the NFL,
insurance is closed. Dealer has 21.
Colts rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson is going to start Saturday in their preseason game in their opener against the Bills. Obviously, the 4th overall pick. He continues to battle Gardner Minshew. Do you guys believe that's a battle? I mean, is Richardson the guy, or do we think Minshew is going to start the season? How does that end up in Indianapolis?
Kelly, I know what I think, which is they need to let him watch for a while. Minshew will do just fine. This team isn't going to win a Super Bowl. What the hell difference does it make?
Yeah, but then if you're not going to win a Super Bowl and you don't think you're very good, do you put him in anyway? So there's a lot of questions to be
What
asked.
I'm asking is from day one,
Uh,
because my point would be that
I'm
if
with
you
you.
look,
I'm with you, George. I think they need to let Gardner Minshew, but people don't think like that nowadays. I mean,
right,
if they think, I mean, he's physically capable, obviously, but you don't want to put a guy into a situation where he goes in there and he loses his confidence. So that's the big thing. But nowadays, guys are not scared to throw guys in.
here's what I saw out of him because it was all over the map. Against Utah a year ago, terrific. Against Kentucky, sucked. Against Tennessee, pretty good.
He was
Against Vandy,
he was pretty bad against Vandy.
oh,
Too.
he was awful. And I'm just not buying that you just snap your finger in the NFL. I think they need to be patient. You know, this team's not going to win whether he's their quarterback or not. So why not give the guy every opportunity to I'm not going to say relax, but to watch a little bit. Then toward the end of the season, sure, if you want to play him some, have at it.
I'm kind of with you on that, and the Tennessee Titans did that with Steve McNair. I can remember who was the guy that was it Chris Miller?
Chris Chandler.
Chris Chandler, that's it. Chris Chandler.
Yeah.
He started before, and it's I think it's very beneficial for young guys to sit over there and watch how the game's played and watch an older guy go in there and play. Anthony Richardson's obviously got all the talent, but as y'all just alluded to, his consistency has got to get better, especially in the pros.
And he's 21 years old still, which is
Crazy.
But that's all I got, George.
I'd like to be his agent.
Bet you would. And then you could buy you some hair stuff when you come on the show. Before you come on the show, you could fix it.
Yours looks very nice today. If
I just throw mine up, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's gray. I mean, what are you gonna do?
If I could get a golf ball into that hair, it'd be a great lie. I would knock the crap out of it.
A Georgia lie, you think, or Bermuda? Which one?
It could very much be. Okay. After the break, Danny Evans is going to join us. We'll get into a ton of baseball. During the 3:00 hour, it will be very football related. ACC with Stanford, Northwestern with clueless Derek Gregg. Bless his heart. You talk about doesn't have a clue. It's him.
Wow.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know why you would ever make those shirts and wear them.
Oh, I'm not saying, but I mean, you know, apparently they've been wearing them for a month. Why did he just see it?
Yeah. His comment.
He hasn't been out of his office, George. Good gracious. He's staying in his office.
Yeah, counting money.
He's trying.
We'll go to the break, and then Danny will join us next. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
As a lot of you know, our show is now more than a year old, and that's a great testimony to some of the viewership that we have had from you all. So a big thank you right there. If you're new to all of this and you're wondering, how do we see the show? Here's some of the ways. Of course, you can watch it live 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. And the 3 biggest ways are Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Now, if you're working or can't watch the show live, you know what? All this stuff is archived in podcast form through 2 different ways: Apple, Spotify, That's the way you do it. You can go Apple Podcast or Spotify, and you're probably sitting there saying, George, you don't know what any of these mean. Well, I'm learning. I can at least spit it out now. Hope that you will continue to enjoy our show, because as football season revs up, we've got some great things planned. Thanks for being with us.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over. Late word out of Pittsburgh. The Pirates beat my Bravos today 7-5, which means they took 2 out of 3 in the series. The Braves have not had a very good road trip, and they have been giving up a lot of runs. And it's sort of an area I want to get into with Danny. Billy, help me here. Where do we think we are?
His screen is black. I think he's working on turning his camera on.
Okay.
So we'll just wait and see on that.
So we're in a rain delay.
Rain delay.
Bring the tarp out. Kelly, as they say, time only has been called. Now, you want to know my theory right now on the Braves. I think they're bored.
They're getting bored. That's what I was about to say. They're getting bored. They got the best record in the majors.
Now, that said, some of their worst moments have been against teams that, frankly, are not very good. The A's got them out in Oakland pretty good. Now the Pirates, who, since a red-hot start, have gotten very little done. And I worry a little bit. I guess, when people say you're the best team and you ought to win it all, you do worry that this team really has not had to play any real meaningful games in a long time. And, barring a total collapse between now and the playoffs in October, they may never play one that's, got a lot on the line. And, any team would love that, but is that good, Kelly?
Well, that rarely happens, George. You know that when a team is really good during the season, it's just hard to keep that momentum up. If you have a couple of key injuries at the wrong time of the year, that can put a whole damper on everybody's spirit and can have a damper on the season. So there's a lot of luck. Everybody says this. There's a lot of luck that goes into it. But I'm like you. I think they're bored. They're the best team in baseball, and I know you don't like hearing that. I guess you like hearing it, but you don't want it to fester over into the playoffs. But rarely that happens, George, and you know that. It's always a team that kind of peaks at the right time. I always use the Pittsburgh Steelers when Jerome Bettis, when they went to Detroit. They weren't very good during the season, but they got it on a hot streak at the end and ended up 9-7 during the regular season and got on a streak and won all those games and went on to win the Super Bowl. So it's all about a team getting hot at the right time.
So I'm told we're going to bring Danny on by phone. Danny, where are you?
I'm in Dyersville, Iowa, George. I'm sorry about the technical problems, but We're in the middle of a bunch of stadium meetings with our new ballpark, and I'm just in a little bit of a challenged area. So I tried to get on, and it just didn't work.
So, Danny, where are you guys with the new stadium plans?
We'll have a new ballpark in the spring of 2025, George.
That is so cool.
Yeah, it's spectacular. We've spent the last 2 full days working on just all our design and trying to finalize things. And we're down to, where to mount the card slots and where to put gravel in some areas. But the real plans for the stadium, we're in really good shape, and we're really excited. And our partners, RDG of USA, are just fantastic architects.
And in 2025, will the major league games come back to being played there?
We're in conversations with them, George, have been for an extended period. It's just all dependent on us getting a ballpark ready and then negotiating a contract. But every indication we've had from Major League Baseball is there's considerable interest. So we're just going to continue to move forward.
Danny, you may have heard the conversation that we were having. The Braves really have not been very good for about the last week to 10 days. Part of me wonders, A, are they a little bored? B, they're giving up way too many runs. That is a legitimate concern. And I guess the other one is they don't really play meaningful games until they get to October, barring a total collapse. Give me some thoughts there.
Yeah, George, they're meaningful games for everybody who plays them because everyone knows they're the best team in the game right now. So people get pretty fired up. They've got a 10.5 game lead on Philadelphia and a sizable lead on the Dodgers for the number 1 spot. So they're allowed to have a little pothole here and there. They've been so elite. In fact, there was a great story by Mike Petrello in ESPN this week, or MLB.com this week, about how extraordinary their offense has been 1 through 9. It's record-setting good 1 through 9. So let them have a little bit of a failing. I wouldn't be too worried about the Braves right now.
Danny, let's I don't know, sort of compare notes on this. The Dodgers think they're getting Clayton Kershaw back by the end of the week. I'm not sure which night he's going to start. And then there's some encouraging reports on the former Vandy pitcher Walker Buehler. Then I think you've really got something, because all of a sudden some of the pieces in that starting rotation that have not been there suddenly are, and then you move some guys who have had to play big roles back to more of a second tier. That's what I worry about.
Yeah, well, Buehler threw a simulated game yesterday and threw apparently very well. Everything I read was very, very positive. So getting him back is the best pitching acquisition you could possibly get. And he's ahead of schedule. Kershaw will pitch this weekend, according to everything I've read. If he doesn't throw this weekend, they'd sneak him in probably to Tuesday's start. But what the Dodgers have are 2 genuine elite additions to their pitching staff. And adding Lynn, and Goslin is pitching a little bit better recently. The Dodgers very quietly are having an upper 90 win season, and people are talking about the demise of the Dodgers, and it's anything but. They're going to be a formidable club in the postseason when they have everybody back. They may not win the 111 games that they won last year, but nobody's going to be real excited to be playing the Dodgers in the first round.
You got that right. Danny, I want to talk about a couple of pitchers who have found something. Kevin Gausman at the end of Atlanta couldn't get anybody out, and now he looks like Cy Young. I watched him last night in a shutout effort over Cleveland. And then the one that makes all the headlines last night, Michael Lorenzen. 2.5 years ago, he was more known for being a pitcher who could really hit than he was a pitcher with any great talent. Danny, help me. How does it work this way in pitching where, you just, it's not like you snap a finger and magic happens, but it does feel that way at times.
Well, George, first of all, I've known Mike Lorenzen since he's about 15 years old. His brother played in the Dodger organization when I was there. So I've known Mike literally since he was a little boy. And I'm thrilled for him. I think if anyone saw the game or saw video last night, I was watching, I was cheering like heck for him. He's an absolute supremely good guy and one of the best athletes in the game today. George, I think a lot of it comes down to comfort. It comes to the pitching coach. It comes to preparation, perhaps the pregame analytic preparation that the franchise has. I think guys react to different types of coaches, different types of styles. Both the Blue Jays and the Phillies have really good pitching coaches. They're, really good clubs who have been through a lot. So I think guys tend to do better with better people around them. I don't think it hurts for Lorenzen to be pitching to JP Realmuto, and he called him out last night after the game. And I think when you elevate the catcher and you elevate everything else around him, guys can become better. Gosman was a guy who came on late in his career. He was a Vegas kid who really didn't, come on until later in his career. And I think sometimes it's the voice in the guy's ear, instilling confidence, but also tweaking the guy in a way that the guy doesn't feel overcoached. And those two guys, when they're on, they're pretty darn good.
So, Danny, I'm getting the chance Monday. I'm going to Truist Park, and I'm going to get to see game one of a series between the Braves and the Yankees. And
that's Max.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it. I can't wait. Help me with the Yankees. I watch them unless Aaron Judge has a monster night, they don't get anything done on offense. They just look dead to me.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody in our stadium meeting today about the Yankees, and they were crushing them pretty good. And I said, "Hey, your team's terrible." He's a fan of a different club, and I just said, "Would you be happy with an 85, 86 win team this year?" Here's part of their problem, George. The run differential is basically zero. It's a -1. So they win one, lose one, win one, lose one, win a couple, lose a couple. It's our perspective is a bit skewed. We're looking at them as a last place club. Yet if they were in the AL Central, they'd be tied for first. And the fact that they've got the Orioles, the Jays, the Rays, the Red Sox ahead of them, I think we're starting to look at them in a way that we're being really rough on them. The Yankees are a wild card contender. They're 5.5 out. They are solely dependent on the offense of Judge, who, if pitched around, it really softens the Yankees' attack. So I think that puts a lot of pressure on their pitching. And subsequently, they're going to have to pitch better than their norm to stay in the race. But it's a race that also now includes Seattle, has a situation where Boston, the Jays, and the Rays are all ahead of them. What the Yankees are really playing for, George, is that last wild card spot. And that is a perilous climb right now at this time of the season.
Danny, don't you think some of it is there's no longer a George Steinbrenner to come out and say something asinine and, and create all the fireworks or Billy Martin getting into it with a Reggie? There's just none of that there other than Aaron Boone getting tossed about once a week and looking utterly frustrated. Is that maybe some of it that we're all thinking of the old days, and that by now Steinbrenner would have said, "This is unacceptable"?
George, I think they've made the postseason, 4 or 5, 6 years in a row, too.
Yeah.
So I think our bar for the Yankees is higher than it should be. We're relying on the 27 World Championships instead of looking at the now. I think it's a good point. Not having George, his persona, his mentality about, securing the best players, paying the most money. Now with the luxury tax and their farm system sputtering a little bit, they aren't as big a player as they once were, where they outspent people. Now there's a lot of teams that are vibrant financially that have the opportunity to compete for those players. And I think, the Yankees are more dependent on their international signings and their draft choices than ever before. And the unbalanced schedule worked well for them because they could beat up teams external from their division. But now that they have a balanced schedule, the teams in their division are actually beating the heck out of teams outside their division. And as a result, George, we've never had a division where in mid-August, all 5 teams, were all over 500. And I think we're viewing them, I think we're over-managing them a little bit, looking at them. They're a good club, not a great club. I think they're going to be on the outside looking in, but it's not like they're a terrible team that needs a massive rebuild.
Good stuff in segment 1 with Danny. After the break, Kelly Holcomb, that world-renowned baseball fan, gets to talk with Danny. We'll see where that goes next.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service. growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
We're back. Our man Danny Evans is as good as there is in talking baseball. And I have really enjoyed when he and Kelly go at it, because Kelly has brought some stuff to the table that maybe I just assume everybody knows, but oftentimes that's not the case. And I've enjoyed when they get together. So, Kelly, the floor is yours.
George, I don't know if I have any crazy questions today, but since y'all were on the Yankees deal, Danny, is Aaron Boone safe or is he gone?
Well, I tell you what, he does a great Las Diaz. That was spectacular. What his mimicking Laz was, and I love Laz. Laz is a great guy, but he had a tough night the other night. I think Booney's okay, but you never know in New York. You just never know. So I think, Kelly, when the Yankee season is over, they'll assess where they are. And, you just, in this sport with a big franchise, you just never know what's going on in the ownership. I wanted to say one other thing too. I think Kershaw's pitching tonight against the Rockies at home. So I think he's coming back tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's a crazy question, because I asked George yesterday about who wants to go to Colorado, and then if you're an opposing pitcher, you obviously don't want to pitch in Colorado. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was at his last start against the Rockies, and he was exceptional in Colorado. So when you're great, Kelly, I don't think the conditions matter. When you're looking for an excuse, you can always find one at altitude.
That's correct. Okay, so get one more question about the Yankees deal. So is it Aaron Boone's fault? Do they have the talent on the team? Obviously, Aaron Judge is the big guy. Is it his fault, or is it the GM's fault? Is there fault to be blamed on what's going on this year?
Kelly, I haven't really examined their club as closely as I should to be able to make that comment with any confidence. But I will say this, the Yankees are led by one of the greatest GMs in the modern era in Brian Cash. We have an issue here, and that is that Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and Toronto are all in a really good cycle, where all three of them are either on an upswing or they're continuing at a real high level, like in Toronto's case. The Yankees are a bit of a downslide, and their farm system hasn't been as productive as they've liked. And also they've had a couple guys who they were counting on not perform to the level that they thought. I think whenever a team underperforms to your expectations, the blame is actually shared throughout the organization, top to bottom. And I think to specifically point at one guy when your team's going to win 85, 86 games, I don't think one guy's the reason. I think it's a bit of a system fault. But I also think we're looking at four teams above them in the standings that are just in a better place right now than they are. it's not like they're, a 70-win team, Kelly. They're just not good enough in the American League, which is a superior league in 2023.
Yeah, so the AL East is obviously it's the best division in baseball. So you're going to have one division winner who's going to go to the playoffs, but how many teams out of that division get into the playoffs?
Well, you'll have three. You'll have Baltimore, Tampa Bay, and likely the Blue Jays. And Kelly, from a historic standpoint, it's the best one-loss record for a division this late in the season in the history of the game.
Yeah, I'm looking at that, and that's crazy. So I was looking at some stuff today, Danny. And where does this guy fit in? Because he's been around for 20 years. He's starting to pass people on the hits list, and I know who I'm talking about. But how good is Miguel Cabrera as a hitter?
Kelly, like anybody, I think, we all have our nights where we can't sleep. I had one last night. It was my one of my nights here in Iowa where I'm a little messed up. And I went down a rabbit hole because I saw Miggy early in his career. I saw him in AA, and then I saw him in his first week in the big leagues, and he was extraordinary. He's passing guys like Yount. He's up there around Ripken. He's up there in an area that I think we've taken him for granted, like we do so many great players when they first come in and excel. But when you get in the area of Tony Gwynn, all-time hits, then, Kelly, you're in baseball royalty. This guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's probably the greatest hitter in the history of Venezuela. He's a great teammate, a terrific human being. He might have stayed 1 year too long, but one thing about him, he's been a great ambassador for the game. This guy's numbers across the board, I was looking at him about 1 a.m. last night going, man, I forgot how good he was. Kelly, if I could tell a quick story about him, you okay? A real quick story?
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Early in his career, Kevin Brown's on the mound pitching against the Marlins down in Joe Robbie Stadium, or Pro Player, whatever it was called that week. And Brownie says, hey, Danny, you know this guy? And I said, yeah, I do know him. I said, he's an elite fastball hitter. I said, I'd stay away from the fastball. I'd jam him. Don't throw anything out over the plate. Well, I think it was a 2-0 count. He left the ball out over the plate. And if we'd had the metrics we had today, it would have been about 115 off the bat, an absolute laser to right center field. Brownie looks at me in the stands in Miami when he's running the bases, and he gives me a, yeah, you're right, no more fastballs. And that's when I knew. I think he was 19 or 20 years old. So I got in the clubhouse after the game, and Kevin said to me, well, I think he answered my question quite well. And this guy has been, he's been exceptional his whole career. And the thing about him, guys, he's been an elite player for such an extended period that I think we forget how great he really was.
This has always intrigued me, Danny, and you can probably tell me this, but I've heard this about pitchers, about when they hit the back of the glove, it's a different sound. But like when you've got a guy like Miguel Cabrera who just hits like that, or a guy like Bryce Harper, does the ball just come off the bat differently? Does it just sound differently? Because everybody tells me when you go, and I've never been to a PGA Tour event, which I need to go to the Masters at some point. But they say when you're, as an amateur, when you're out there hitting a golf ball, they say when you go and listen to these guys hit a golf ball, it just sounds different. Does it sound different with a premier hitter like Miguel Cabrera?
I love your question, Kelly. Charlie Lau, probably the greatest hitting coach ever, was one of my early mentors, and he told me, listen to the bat. By listening to the bat, you'll know the elite ones. You'll know the guys who are substandard players. I remember seeing Cabrera in AA, and I turned my back on him and listened to him take batting practice. He was as loud as a kindergarten classroom. It was thunderclaps, and he's continued to be loud. His body's broken down. He's certainly not the player he once was. When he first came up, he could really pick it at third base. He was a real good runner. He was an elite athlete. His body's changed, but whose hasn't? Who am I to talk about, an athletic body? But I will say this, Kelly, the great ones sound great. And that sound usually doesn't change much over the course of their career. They just barrel it, square it up better than their peers. And you can literally hear it. I remember the first time I was near Tiger when Tiger was on the tee. And I was probably 15 feet away. And it was like an absolute bunch of firecrackers. And they're different. I mean, the ball is just different. And that's what separates the truly great ones from everybody else around them.
Yeah, and my last question here, it seems like we talk about this guy every week, Shohei Ohtani, but he's got an opportunity to maybe win the Triple Crown. I don't know. I mean, there's only been one guy in 56 years, if I'm not mistaken, the last 56. So I'm sure he's got a shot, but do you give him a shot at doing that?
Well, the last guy was Miguel Cabrera, and in the American League, I think it's Ted Williams in 1941 or 46, one of those 2 years. He does have a chance, and Kelly, I mean, this guy is having an amazing year. He won his 10th game this week. He's the only player in the history of the game to win 10 games as a pitcher and hit 40 bombs. The problem he's going to have, Kelly, is he's going to get walked a lot in the last 40 games of the season here. And as a result, he's going to have fewer offensive chances to get base hits. For him to be hitting over 300, considering what he's been doing, I mean, Kelly, he just played 16 days in a row, had 2 or 3 starts in there, and hit over 400 during that period. I mean, this guy is doing things that we have never seen, of course, but also most people didn't imagine. So I think what we're watching is a historic season. I'd love him to get the Triple Crown. It'd be such a great statement for the international game. Think about what that would do to enhance if he needs any help anyway. I imagine what his asking price will be if he goes out and wins the Triple Crown. I mean, it'll be extraordinary.
Couldn't imagine.
It'll be the national debt is what he's asking for.
Well, as the signing bonus, right?
Right. Nice. As you all were talking about Cabrera, Danny, isn't the other thing that because he's been in Detroit and because over the last 5-6 years, they really have not been in big games, he's sort of been left where we don't notice him.
Great call, George. And you know what, too? I think there's another element there is as he's aged, they really haven't surrounded him with a whole lot of players. So you can minimize his impact in the lineup by pitching around him. One thing he's done, George, and I have appreciated him his whole career, he uses the whole field, and with 2 strikes,
he sure does.
He's one of the toughest right-handed hitters I've ever seen. He reminds me so much of Frank Thomas, of Manny Ramirez, Frank Robinson. It's really hard to be a right-handed power hitter in the game and be selective and use the whole field just because 2/3 of the pitches are going away from you. But I think you just brought up a great point. Their lack of postseason, I would say, participation, or for that matter, even threat to be in the race has hurt him. And that happens frequently to guys who are dudes that you just don't see. I mean, I think it's happening to Trout right now, who we haven't seen at an elite level for an extended period in the postseason. I think he's had 3 games in his career. And I think when guys don't get that opportunity, I think frequently the national radar doesn't pick him up. You got to be a bit of a savant like us to know what's really in that uniform.
I know one thing. You said it earlier. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and George, you know what? We got to appreciate those guys when they're playing. There's so few of them. I mean, there's probably 12 to 14 guys in the big leagues right now that'll be in Cooperstown, and very few of those guys are first ballot guys. This guy's a first ballot guy.
Amen. Danny, great stuff as always. I'm glad we could move things around and make it happen because we sure wanted you on.
George, thank you. I'm going to be back inside now and listen to some more stadium renderings, and I appreciate the time. You guys have a good weekend and enjoy your time Monday at Truist Park.
Amen, man. I'm excited about it. Danny, thank you.
See you, George.
Danny Evans, great as always. Nobody talks baseball better than him. After the break, stat of the day, and then a 3 o'clock hour full of football talk off the field. Stay tuned.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? Wow.
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Convenience and value, 2 words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
Top of the hour, some college football talk coming up. Northwestern in the headlines, Stanford and Cal. What are they going to do? We'll talk about that. But first, stat of the day brought to you by John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee. You can find them out there, 204 East Depot Street. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call at 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Butch has cooked up today. We are 16 days away from college football. What is the longest neutral site played rivalry in college football history? Good one.
Okay. Kelly, let's go. Seems to me there are two. Let's see if you add to them. Army Navy has got to be there somewhere in this discussion.
In Philly. Yeah.
Well, it's been Philly,
or
New
Baltimore.
York, Baltimore.
Yeah,
It was Pasadena one time.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that one.
Texas, OU, and Dallas. Georgia, Florida at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville.
The one I thought was Texas OU. That's what came to mind for me.
Okay. Of the ones that ought to be discussed, have we missed one? I'm just trying to think if there's anything that we've not gotten to.
Alabama and Auburn used to play in Birmingham, right?
Play at Legion Field, and I guess that's considered neutral. That's a good one,
right?
It's got to be
those,
one
George.
of these.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
It's got to be one of these. I think it's Army Navy. You think it's Texas OU, right?
I think it's Texas OU.
Let's see who it is.
It is the Red River rivalry.
Baby. Way to go, Kelly.
Oklahoma and Texas.
So how far back do they go?
Butch did not provide that, but I can look that up.
Have we got Butch doing this all the time now?
Butch is our stat of the day guy now.
Oh, it's not.
Let's
okay.
see.
All right.
I'm seeing 1958. Maybe the. Oh, wow. They go way back. 1900 was the first Texas OU game.
Really?
Oh, wow.
But the first time it was played in Dallas was 1912. So, man, I did not know it went that far back.
Good Lord.
And yeah, from 1912, it was held in Dallas.
Wow, that's a long time.
Peloponnesian War.
It's interesting. I think
that was before you, George.
It's got to be old.
This starts a bigger discussion of what is the best rivalry in college football. I know we've got other college football stuff to talk about, but I've heard a lot about Texas and Texas A&M being a huge hated
they
rivalry.
hate each other, and the deal is that Texas can be very snotty, and they have given sort of this A&M as a cow college, and it's kind of a bastard stepchild kind of deal, and I think the A&M people have gotten kind of sick of that.
What would be the biggest rivalry of the country? I'm not even sure about that. I mean, Alabama, Auburn's pretty big. Ohio State, Michigan, maybe.
Ohio State, Michigan's got to be in the conversation. Alabama and Auburn has to be in the conversation.
Alabama Auburn to me is special because it's in state, number one. I know Texas A&M is, but the way I've heard the Alabama Auburn rivalry described is kind of crazy. I mean, you're either an Alabama or an Auburn fan. In Texas, you could be a Tech fan, you could be TCU, SM. I mean, there's so many other schools.
Right.
It's like that state is just, it's divided. It's either Alabama or Auburn. I think that makes it a little bit more special. But I mean, for Texas,
I'll give you one that nobody.
USC, UCLA.
I'm going to give you one that is ugly. Okay. And it doesn't get talked about a lot. BYU and Utah.
The Holy War.
Oh, yeah.
They hate each other.
And they're going to be in the same conference starting next year. The Big 12 keeps coming up for me.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Say that again.
Utah and BYU are going to be in the Big 12.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that is
BYU
correct.
did
Yeah,
go, didn't they?
BYU. That's right.
That's why I keep saying the Big 12.
Oh, okay.
I know talent-wise they're not up there, but in terms of fun factor, I mean,
that one will
good stuff.
get everybody's attention.
Oh, yeah.
So as we start the 3:00 hour, a few minutes late, the ACC right now is debating, and I'm sure the schools are as well, whether Stanford and Cal are going in. Nice crowd, by the way, at Stanford for that game. There are end zones still available if you so desire.
George, before the show, said, Billy, what's going on? I said, oh, just trying to find some pictures of Stanford Stadium. George goes, yeah, it's not Neyland Stadium.
No, it is.
No, it is not.
Although this is a pretty good, that's
now,
a better picture.
That must be Notre Dame must have been in town.
Might be fabricated.
Yeah. Of course, Stanford, there was a time where Stanford was a little better than they are right now. Here's
this
what
is
I
the
think.
Worst one.
Yeah, that's
an actual game. They're running out of the tunnel right there.
Wow.
So, Kelly, it seems to me that what really is going on is twofold. Okay, and it's a math equation. If you divide 100 by 10, well, let me do this differently. 1,000 divided 10 ways is 100.
Right.
But 1,000 divided 12 ways is 83.3. Okay. And I think that's what's going on right now in the ACC is some of those people are saying our TV contract isn't all that good to begin with. And now you want to split it 2 more ways. And so my guess is they're going back at Stanford and saying, listen, until 2030, you're not going to get but a half share because you have no leverage. You know, you can go to the Mountain West and die, or you can come to us at a reduced rate. On the flip side, a Stanford's probably sitting there going, Atlantic coast. Aren't we on the Pacific coast? Oh, yeah. And then they're sitting there thinking about midweek travel in basketball. And what is that really going to look like? You know, this is not like going, you know, up to Oregon State. This is going across country. And my guess is that right now what you've got going on is that neither side is exactly married to this or even close. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think everybody's just scrambling because it's just, you know, I was thinking when you were talking about that, the Pac-12 has been around for so long. And the Pac-12, I mean, Stanford is in the running every year for the all-out championship of everything. Right. So they're pretty prestigious. Stuff. Yeah, absolutely. They're a pretty prestigious university. And, I don't know. We've talked about it in nauseum about the travel deals. Like, how does a Cal do it? Like, where does a Cal make their money? If you look at Stanford, they're not making any money from that football. I mean, good gracious, there's no fans there. I mean, I know they're getting some from the Pac-12, but unlike you, that's the whole reason that Florida State is upset because they don't want to share it equally amongst the ACC. They think they're just looking out for themselves. But if you're looking at which Florida State had been a great powerhouse in football since the Bobby Bowden era. So you're looking at Clemson, who's done all they've done with Dabo Swinney, but those two schools are kind of what makes the ACC. Now North Carolina's coming along. Miami's really gone. I mean, they've got like Mario Cristobal's got some work to do. You got Virginia Tech, but like I don't know, George. That's what Florida State's upset about. And you're right. Like if you're adding 2 more teams, then you're going to have to share the money with 2 more teams. And that's kind of what Florida State's pissed about. They don't want to do it. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I think this is kind of I don't know. You got 14 from the Pac-12 going to the Big Ten in 2024, I think. Yeah. It looks like all these other teams are trying to find a spot. I don't. It just doesn't make sense to me, George. It really doesn't. I know everything's about money. We talk about it all the time about money, but like I don't care to see Stanford playing NC State. Like what? I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be fun to see how all this turns out.
Okay, you want a suspicion on something?
Tell me.
Clemson is right there with the same beliefs and attitude that Florida State has.
Yeah.
But you're not hearing a peep out of Clemson. To me, it's almost like Clemson is saying, you people can't ever shut up. We're going to let you do the dirty work.
That could be the deal. I mean, that could be the deal. That Clemson is thinking the exact same thing that Florida State's
absolutely.
saying. I mean, if Florida State's just the brash one to come out and talk about it, just put it out in the open, say, hey, we're not getting enough money for what we do with this conference. So Clemson is kind of the motivating factor in that whole deal. The last couple of years, they've won a national championship and won a couple of national championships and have been in the playoffs. So they're kind of the upper echelon when you talk about football in that conference. And then Florida State's with the Norvell guy, they're starting to come along. But like I said, they hadn't been very good since Bobby Bowden left. Now I can remember when they went into the ACC, and how many ACC championships did they win in a row? Like nobody even touched them. Yeah, it was a bunch. So they've obviously got some tradition to stand on. But you may be right, George. They may be just sitting back, Clemson, and just saying, hey, y'all do the dirty work. We want what y'all want, but we're going to let y'all get run through the mud, and then we're just going to, if something happens, then we'll jump on it.
This is just my gut feeling. I think there is an incredible amount of unhappiness in the ACC right now. Florida State voices it. Clemson deep down is right there with them. But they seem to be looking at Florida State going, y'all have a case of diarrhea of the mouth. So you just keep running your mouth and we're going to stay quiet. But we, by the way, agree with what you're saying. North Carolina, more and more you keep hearing SEC. Don't know if it's true or not, but you hear it a lot. It just seems to me, Kelly, that group right now is very unhappy. You buy that?
I do buy that. I do absolutely buy that. And I know that the commissioner of the SEC got up there and he said, we're good with 16 teams, but we talked about it the other day. Like and I just don't understand how Florida State gets around, or the Clemsons or the North Carolinas gets around that buyout deal for, I know they got the money. I get it, but what is it, like $135 million that they'll have to pay if they're going to get out of the contract with their conference. So I don't know how you just give that away, but if they can sidestep that with lawyers or something, you better believe they're going to be thinking about it. And you better believe if they do get out of that and the Big Ten comes calling, the SEC is going to be on the phone. I promise you.
Oh yeah, they've got enough free minutes that they can get on the phone. It's just, I keep hearing, and I've read it in some of the comments that get sent to us. George, you're old fashioned. You don't like change. And there is some truth to that. But for me, this doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense whatsoever. And you're alluding to the guy the other day that posted something about us being, not liking change, being traditionalists. I get it. I understand that times have got to change. You look at my old school. My old school's changed a bunch. I mean, we've gone up in divisions. I mean, we're building things over there. I mean, you've got to change with the times. I understand that. But, it doesn't make sense to me to watch UCLA and Rutgers. It just doesn't.
No, it doesn't get the juices.
No,
flowing.
It's not going to get some juices flowing. Of course, Rutgers and somebody's not going to get many juices flowing.
Right.
But I mean, let's just be honest about that. Like Washington and Indiana, and that's when this is really funny, George. I hate to say this because I'm sure we got some Big Ten fans that are listening to us that are watching us. But when I was playing with the Cleveland Browns, every weekend on Saturday, I had to watch the Big Ten game of the week. And it was no doubt Northwestern versus Indiana. Who in the world wants to watch that game? I mean, I'm an SEC guy. I'm down here in the South. I'm a middle guy. I get it. I'm not an SEC guy, but I like Southern football. And you kind of get in there with the Southern football teams. And I can remember, having a Saturday off, having to go to our meetings that night and wanting some good football. And we didn't get, until the SEC came on. I mean, we had to watch the deadgum Big Ten game of the week, and it was Rutgers and somebody else. And I'm like, good gracious, man. Nobody wants to watch that. I'm sorry.
Speaking of the SEC, we got a question from John on YouTube.
And by the way, tomorrow, Billy, what will we have?
Ask the director.
A tried and true promotion.
Yeah.
How's that gone over, Billy? Is that good?
Yeah, it's been good. I've tried to ask questions outside of, maybe even sports. I mean, I think I asked you a question about Nashville.
No, we're not. We're not going there.
But John asks, what are the chances Notre Dame joins the SEC?
Okay. Now,
which we haven't talked about really at all.
Number one, I think it's a great question. Number two, if the guy at Notre Dame, Swarbrick, picked up the phone and called Sankey and said, we want in, it'd be that quick.
Think so?
Think so?
Hell yes.
That's the problem. Does Notre Dame do that? Or when do they do it?
There's, first of all, we have no evidence right now that Notre Dame is getting ready to do this. They almost feel like they're in the housing market. If we keep this house for 5 more years, if you think it's insane what we can get now, just wait.
Yeah.
Okay. So they keep acting like they're not anywhere close to doing anything. And I don't doubt that's right. But I don't believe for a minute that Greg Sankey, I could care less what he put out about we're at 16 and we're staying there. Let's see about that. If Notre Dame calls, do I believe he's saying, listen, thank you for the call. Lord, hear our prayer. That's a big Catholic. That's one of the sayings in a Catholic mass when they say something, Lord, hear our prayer. I don't believe that Sankey says, listen, really appreciate your phone call. Get lost. I think they would jump to have Notre Dame because the truth of it is Notre Dame makes the most sense in the Big Ten. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah, but if you're Notre Dame, George, would you do that? Because you're not like the SEC's getting money from ESPN. We get all that. Everything's about money, but they've got their own deal with NBC. So they're one of the only teams that don't really have to do that. So would they do? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of questions that are going to have to be answered here coming up.
They are the free agent that nobody knows what they're doing. And Notre Dame loves saying, look at us. We're the one and only
Notre Dame.
Yeah. By the way, your basketball program sucks.
They're in a transition.
They've been in a transition for a while. See, this strikes a real nerve, Kelly, with Billy.
Yeah, he's a Notre Dame guy. I know. He's a Notre Dame Vanderbilt. He's a blue blood, dude.
He loves those leprechauns.
It's funny.
What do you think about that, Billy? Like, they don't really have to. They've got their own NBC deal. I don't know.
No, they don't have to, and they've got all the leverage. I mean, they're just sitting back, relaxing, saying we don't have to do anything right now. But I don't think they should join the ACC. I mean, I think there was some reports out that the ACC was going to try to give Notre Dame a call. I don't think Notre Dame should answer that call.
I think they only accept it if it's a collect. Well, if the other party pays for it.
Well, the one thing that Notre Dame will not be able to do if they do join the SEC, they won't be able to play Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. I mean, that's one big thing. Yeah. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Let's not act like they've got a bunch of cupcakes on the schedule.
Oh, they have for
cupcakes, dude.
They play a good, tough schedule.
Billy, for years, they were always able to intersperse Navy in between USC.
Yeah, they had to. That's tradition.
They had to.
Oh, gosh, Billy. Grow up. Grow up, Billy. I mean,
that myth that Notre Dame doesn't play a tough schedule is a joke.
For a while, it was true.
Okay, then they joined the ACC, and they've got they got Clemson, Ohio State on the schedule this year.
They've had to go to Syracuse for
y'all haven't been. They haven't been significant since Lou Holtz was there, son.
Let's hear from Lou. What
Holtz?
does Lou think about what Notre Dame is contemplating?
Well, son, I'm going to tell you right now. I don't think we have to do anything, son, because we hold all the cards. We hold them all. We've got the NBC. We got the NBC TV stuff. We don't have to go down there and play them people. And if we go down there and play those folks, we might have a shot at the national title.
That was the best
That
one.
was really good. We'll go to the break, and then we'll really depress you with the Northwestern mess. Good Lord. Stay tuned. Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
So who said I can't be a golfer? Well, you know what? This is X Golf, located just down the road from the Fordyce Center in Bellevue. This is fun. It'll improve your golf game, and you need to stop in and check it out. 8138 Sawyer Brown Road, and who knows, I may get to 200 before it's all over.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Oh, yeah. So there's internal bickering going on at Northwestern. Imagine that.
This just in.
Bulletin.
They just keep self-destructing.
Okay, so the players apparently have been wearing these shirts. And the athletic director, former Vanderbilt wide receiver Derek Gregg, who has come off looking like a total boob in this whole thing. Just, you talk about asleep. Here's his quote. "I'm extremely disappointed that a few members of our football program staff decided to wear Cats Against the World t-shirts. Neither I nor the university was aware that they owned or would wear these shirts today? Well, first of all, Derek Gregg hadn't been aware of anything since any of this has gone on other than to know how to shut his computer about the time those kids were going to ask him questions. He has come off as a complete idiot in this whole thing. But Kelly, this tells me when he says the word that a few members of our football program staff, wow. How about that?
Well, George, it's funny because they fire the head coach, but like we've said over and over, I mean, they didn't do anything to any of the assistants.
Right.
So, you had to know that they knew what was going on. Now, here's the deal. Now, I've had a T-shirt that said "Us Against the World."
Right.
I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, we've just got such a offended society, man. I just everybody's offended now. You're gonna put Pat Fitzgerald's number on there. I get that, but like everybody wears these again. I'm against the world. Everybody's against the world. Like, get over it. It's a T-shirt. I mean, good gracious.
Well, but right now there's some real sensitivity up there to it. But I love the thing. Neither I nor the university was aware. What has he been aware of?
I told you, he went into his office and shut his door, turned out his lights, and turned off the computer and just sat there and just meditated. Of course, I don't know the guy. You probably do.
No, I really don't know Derek, but here's the one thing I do know. His name has come up in the last 2 or 3 Vanderbilt AD searches. He has come off looking like a complete boob in this whole thing. He seems useless in the deal.
When you're aware, when you're away on vacation and that just happened, I think I would scurry my little self back to Northwestern and try to figure out what's going on, and he did not. So I don't know, George. It's a sticky situation up there. Everything that comes out of there, everybody gets offended. But the T-shirts, whatever. It's a T-shirt. I'm not into that.
Billy, put the shirts back up, and I'm going to read the rest of the quote. The shirts are inappropriate, offensive, and tone deaf. Let me be crystal clear. Hazing has no place at Northwestern, and we are committed to do whatever is necessary to address hazing-related issues, including thoroughly investigating any incidents or allegations of hazing or any other misconduct. Now, without being up there, it's hard for me to sit there and say with certainty all this stuff that you've been reading about either went on or none of it went on, because I'm 7-8 hours away from where they are. There's no way I can know. But those people who are there every day, you've got to be, you got to be Helen Keller not to have seen something or heard something. You either need a hearing aid, you need stronger glasses, you need something, don't you?
George, I said this 3 weeks ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, when this stuff came out. Hazing goes on. That's just part of it. Now, to the extreme that they did it, there was some extreme stuff that we had when I was at middle too, but that's just part of it. That's part of being in a program. Now, I don't know exactly what went on. We heard, but that's probably from disgruntled employees. But I don't know, George. I know things get hidden from a head coach a lot of times. If it's kind of a deal where the head coach doesn't need to be involved because you know how the head coach is going to react, then assistant coaches keep stuff from him. I totally understand that, and that's 100% true because that does happen. But if there's something significant going on, you have to know about it as a head coach. And if you're an assistant coach, you have to tell. I know there's situations when you step into that you don't want to tell, but if it's something really bad, you got to say something.
Here's the other thing, and I brought this up early. All these staffs have a bunch of 24-year-old GAs. GA equals graduate assistant. Well, they're close enough in age, they knew.
And some of those,
if nobody else knew, they knew.
Yeah, and some of those guys that are grad assistants played the year before, and they became grad assistants. So I mean, it's just I don't know, George. It's and this is pretty bad to say, and I'm sure they've had in length talks about it. The new coach, Coach Braun, I'm sure he's been in length talking about hazing
because he was not there.
That's right, but I would not be surprised if stuff's still going on. I mean, you're probably still going to have to get up there and sing, and that's hazing. That's just part of it. But I don't think it's going to go to the length that they were at. And if some of that stuff did go on, that's too bad. But I can't say that I hadn't seen some of that stuff before. It's part of collegiate athletics. I don't know about the women's side. I don't know anything about that because women are totally different than guys. But us against the cats against the world. There's bigger fish to fry than that.
Billy, I want you to weigh in on this as well.
Okay.
I will admit this is an area that I have been caught off guard. When the whole Northwestern thing started, I thought all of a sudden you would start seeing school after school after school where players would come out and say, oh, by the way, I'm not happy with what was done at X university. There really hadn't been much.
No, there hasn't. And
why do y'all think that is?
I don't know. I feel like the Northwestern situation after one win, 1-11, and apparently the whistleblower was one of the quarterbacks. And so I don't know if he had an agenda or if what was going on with him. Obviously, a lot of these things were true, and a lot of these things that happened, aren't even legal, right? A lot of that stuff was against the law. But I don't know. I think for Northwestern, that's a special case that bad of a situation probably doesn't happen at most schools. Hazing happens at most other college football programs, but to that level, it felt like it had sort of infested that program. So I think Northwestern's kind of an outlier because you haven't, before this, you haven't heard of many other cases quite like this.
Kelly, are you surprised that there have not been more schools who have gotten muddied a little bit as former players come out and say, oh yeah, it happened here too?
I really am surprised, George. We said it a couple of weeks ago. We thought that this would be a boatload of litigation coming out with other schools saying, well, he did this to me and he did that to me. But, it seems like it's always a guy that's upset that's trying to take somebody down. That's really the bad thing about it. Now, I'm not saying that was right that went on. I'm just saying it does go on. And I've been in situations where it does go on. But I don't know, man. It's just it's a tough deal that happened up there. I don't know. I just don't understand what the people are getting so upset about this T-shirt. The AD's he ain't said too much, but you're right. He's, like there's bigger fish to fry than a T-shirt. Like us, like the cats against the world. That's everybody puts those. I've worn at least two in my career about, hey, we're against the world. The Falcons against the world, or the Browns against the world. Who cares, dude? Nobody cares.
Derek Gregg has looked really bad in this, though.
Bad. We'll go to the break. Speaking of bad, I had a clunker last night. Yeah. But you know what? We're going to rebound tonight. And guess where we're going to get our money? The National Football League.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Final segment on a Thursday. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, brought to you by Bart Durham Injury Law. Give them a call at 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. As George said, last night was a clunker. Wait.
It was the night before. You know, shame on me. I didn't even remember what I had. Dodgers
so George,
last
you
night,
won
2-0
last night.
win. Yeah.
George doesn't even care at this point.
No, I do care. I care deeply. 13-5, Kelly. It's pretty good.
And that's pretty good. I mean, I have to give it to you. I don't like saying that, but
It bothers
you've done
you.
well. You're making people money, obviously, as you say. You're making folks money.
I intend to do it tonight as well, Kelly, but this is a dangerous deal. And Billy, before you put this up here, I want to talk through what goes on when you bet NFL preseason. Number one, you perhaps have lost your mind, okay? Because it's difficult. And you get some really weird, messed up lines. And your thought process has to be different. For instance, which of the two teams really cares more about winning? That's one thing you have to think about. Secondly, is one team going to play their starting quarterback and the other isn't? Those are the kind of things you have to think about. Now, let's go ahead and put up what I'm thinking tonight. The Patriots at home are a 3.5-point dog. Let me be a smart aleck. I wouldn't make the Texans a 3.5-point favorite over Father Ryan.
Hold on. I didn't have to say Father
You
Ryan.
didn't like that, did you?
No.
Yeah.
I could have said BGA.
Oh, no, we don't ever do that.
That would have been more apt.
We're not getting our alumni card taken away. So, first of all, why are the Texans favored? My gut feeling, I know Stroud is playing. My guess is that so is Mac Jones, because they really need to see, they being the Patriots, how he does under Bill O'Brien. Because what he did with Matt Patricia, who was kind of a bonehead as an offensive coordinator, I'm assuming they're going to play Matt Jones tonight. And if that happens, then the advantage at quarterback is not nearly what it might have been. Is Foxborough an advantage? Slightly. I mean, preseason doesn't elicit a lot of great, crowd stuff. I'm simply going on the fact that they are still the Texans. Do they want to win more? Perhaps. But New England's got some things to prove as well. So, Kelly, I'm taking a gut shot, and I am taking the Patriots at home against the Texans.
Well, how much more familiar does Mac Jones have to be with Bill O'Brien? He won a college national championship with him, Big George.
No, I understand that. But what I'm saying is in year 2, he wasn't very good. And by the way, I don't think it was his fault.
No. I mean, they had a defensive guy calling plays.
Right. So my gut feeling is the Patriots play him some.
So I think yes, I think you're absolutely right. I think they play him. But I don't know, George. I just think that maybe D'Amico Ryans, it is in Foxborough, but I don't know. He's trying to create a culture there, obviously, and I don't know if he wants to lose his very first game, no matter if it's preseason. So we'll see.
I know the sun will rise tomorrow either way.
Correct.
And I'll still have a hell of a record.
Just wait till week 0.
What is that supposed to mean, Billy?
That's when it might start getting ugly. But we'll see. Maybe you prove us wrong this year, George.
Wow. I proved you wrong a year ago.
Wow. He did.
I mean,
hey, are we ready for? I know you got a director's ask the director tomorrow.
Ask the director.
But are you ready for a week from tomorrow to go to James Lawson High School? Are you ready?
Absolutely.
You looking for that?
Added a new sponsor today. Can't tell you about it.
Oh, I got you. Is Billy going to be ready for?
I mean,
are we going to have enough mics? Are we going to have enough lights? Are we going to have everything set up? I mean, you probably need to get there at like 7:00 in the morning, Billy. I mean, let's go.
Easy for Kelly to say at his
Billy,
house.
so he is point blank asking, are you prepared to do the job?
I am fully prepared.
Do I need to come help you with my wisdom and technology?
Yeah, and I don't even know if you could get out there, Kelly, considering you don't even know where Bellevue is.
I couldn't even get help you.
a good line.
Hey, that was good, Billy. That was a good one.
comeback.
Did you think about that yourself, or you've been thinking of that for weeks?
No, I'm trying to hold that against you.
I think he's been storing that one in the on deck circle.
Yeah,
So,
that was funny.
Kelly, tomorrow on the show, a preview of the Bears and the Titans, preseason opener at Soldier Field in the spaceship.
And it is a spaceship.
Of course, ask the director. So, Billy, if somebody is tuning this in right now live or watches it tonight, why don't you tell them how they can get a question in? Because we want tomorrow to be a raucous segment of Ask the Director.
Yes, we do. YouTube on the right side, bottom right, there's the spot for you to type in your question right there. So type it in. Also on Twitter and Facebook, and we'll get him over to George, see if he can answer them.
Don't you worry about me. I'm fully capable of answering.
Hopefully we'll get a raucous environment tomorrow for
you're full of something, that's for sure, George.
Yes. Kelly, thank you. As are you.
No problem.
So I guess you'll have your traditional Friday off. You worked so hard during the 4 days.
Don't be a hater, George.
You were waiting to get that one.
So I was waiting to get that one in there. See you Monday.
See y'all.
Okay. All of you take care. We'll be back with you tomorrow for another edition of Ask the Director.